It was a pretty normal day in the harbor. Henry was looking forward to just taking a nap. But he couldn't really do that because Percy was talking to some random engines. He was telling about the time he braved bad weather to help Thomas. It was raining hard. Water swirled under my boiler. I couldn't see where I was going, but I struggled on. Oh, Percy, you are brave. Well, it wasn't anything really. What? No, there's nothing to an engine with determination. What are you engines doing here? This shed is for the fat director's engines. Go away, you assholes, Henry snorted. Bruh! The hell was that all about? Percy was enjoying himself, but now his dreams were crushed. They're stupid and so are you. Water's nothing to an engine with determination. Anyway, I'm not afraid of water. I like it. He ran off to the harbor singing. Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. Oh, damn it. No one ever lets me forget the time it wouldn't come out of the tunnel in case the rain spoiled my paint. Thomas was looking at a board that was sitting on the key. Danger. Engines must not pass this board. We mustn't go past it. That's orders. Why? Danger means falling down something, said Thomas. I went past that board once, and I fell down a mine. I can't see a mine, said Percy. He didn't know that the foundations of the key had sunk, and the rails now sloped downward to the sea. Oh, that's a stupid board, said Percy. Percy made a plan. One day he whispered to the trucks, Will you please give me a bump when we get to the key? That sounds like an excellent idea, exclaimed the trucks. Driver doesn't know about my plan, chuckled Percy. On! Go on! Laughed the trucks. Percy thought they were helping him. I'll pretend to stop at the key, but the trucks will push me past the board. Make them stop. I can do that whenever I like. Every wise engine knows you cannot trust trucks. Go on! Go on! And bumped Percy's driver and fireman off the footplate. Oh! Oh! Ah! God! Ah! 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 That's enough! Oh, chicken parmesan! Percy was sunk. You are a very disobedient engine. Here, Percy, you know that voice. Please, sir, get me out. Sir, I'm Joey. Sorry. Sir. No, Percy. We cannot do that until high tide. I hope it'll teach you to obey orders. Yes, sir. It was dark when they brought floating cranes to rescue Percy. He was too cold and stiff to move by himself. Next day, he was sent to the works on Henry's goods train. Well, 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 chuckled Henry. So, tell me, did you like the water? Be honest with me, okay? No, I wasn't. I am surprised. You need more determination, Percy. Oh. Besides, water's nothing to an engine with determination, you know. Perhaps you'll like it better next time. Percy is quite determined that will not be a next time. Ever. Again. Bill and Ben are tank engine twins. Each have 4 wheels, a tiny chimney and dome, and a small squat cab. Their trucks are filled with china clay. It is needed for pottery, paper, for some reason, paint, and many other things. The twins are kept busy pulling the trucks for engines on the main line and for ships in the harbor. One fine morning, they arranged some trucks and went away for more. And then they returned to find them completely disappeared. The twins were most surprised. Their drivers examined a patch of oil. Wow, that's a diesel! It's a what? Asked Bill. A Diseasel, I think. There's a notice about them in our shed. Coughs and sneezels spread diseasels. You had a cough in your smoke box yesterday. It's your fault the Diseasel came. It isn't! It is! Stop arguing, you two, laughed their drivers. Let's go and rescue our trucks. Bill and Ben were horrified. But the Diseasel will magic us away like trucks. Don't be silly. We'll more likely magic him. Listen, he doesn't know you're twins, so we'll take away your nameplates, and then this is what we'll do. Puffing hard, the twins set off on their journey to find the Diesel. They were looking forward to playing tricks on him. Creeping into the yard, they found him. He was minding his own business on a siding with the missing trucks. Ben hid behind, but Bill wasn't boldly aside. And so the Diesel looked at him. Hey, do you mind? Yes, said Bill. I want my trucks, please. No, they're mine. Get out of here. Bill pretended to be frightened. Oh, you scary, he whimpered. You'll be sorry. He ran back and hid behind the trucks on the other side, and now Ben came forward. Truck stealer, hissed Ben. He ran away too, and Bill took his place. This went on and on. He still had. Oh my God! Oh my God! Stop! You're making me all giddy. There's two of you? Yes, we're twins. I might have known it. Just then Edward bustled up. Bill, Ben, what are you doing over here? Well, one thing's for sure, we're not playing. We're just rescuing our trucks. Even if you don't take our trucks without asking, but this Diseasel did. There's no cause to be rude, said Edward severely. This engine is a Metropolitan Vickers Diesel Electric Type 2. We're sorry, Mr. Never mind. Just call me Boko. I'm sorry I didn't understand about the trucks. That's all right then, said Edward. Now, off you go, Bill and Ben. Fetch Boko's trucks, and then you can take this lot. There's no real harm in them, he said to Boko, but they're maddening at times. Boko chuckled. Maddening, he said, is the word. Just like the bird. The bird is the word. The branch lines on the island of Sodor are very important. However, their track and bridges are not so strong as those on the main line. At least not yet, anyway. The Fat Director does not allow the heavier mainline engines like Gordon to run on them. One day, the way Gordon was talking, you would have thought the Fat Director had given this order for quite another reason. It's not fair, grumbled Gordon. What isn't fair? Letting branch-line diesels pull mainline trains? Never mind, Gordon. I'm sure Boko will let you pull his truck sometimes. No! I ain't pulling Boko's dirty trucks. I won't run on branch lines. Why not? It would be a nice change. The Fat Director would never approve. Besides, branch lines are vulgar. Gordon puffed away. Edward chuckled and followed him to the station. Every evening, the two engines pulled two fast trains from the station. This is how it would all go down. Gordon would always leave first with the express for the main line. Edward follows 5 minutes later with his train for the branch line. Everything would usually run like clockwork. It would always be like that. However, there was trouble. A lady in a green floppy hat was saying goodbye to a friend, and it was nearly time for Gordon to start. The fireman looked back towards the guard's coach, and then he saw something green waving. Right away, mate! He thought the guard had waved his flag. Gordon started, leaving luggage, his passengers, and the guard all stranded on the platform. It should come as no surprise that everyone was pissed off. To make matters worse, by the time Gordon had reversed back onto the platform, Edward was already late for his train, so now he had to leave first, though he didn't really mind it. However, what was worse than this? The signalman was sleeping on the job! He wasn't made aware of the change at all because of this, so Edward was sent on the main line, and Gordon was sent onto the branch line. He arrived at the harbor looking cold and cross. He stopped at a siding at the station. Next morning, Bill and Ben peeped into the yard. There weren't any trucks for them to pull, but they didn't mind that. Teasing Gordon probably might be better fun. What's that? Asked Bill. Shh! It's Gordon. Looks like Gordon, but it can't be. Gordon never comes on the branch lines. He thinks them vulgar. Well, tell you what. If it isn't Gordon, it's just a pile of old iron, which we better take to the scrapyard. No, Bill. This lot is useless for scrap. We'll take it to the harbor and dump it in the sea. I am Gordon. Stop! Stop! When Boko suddenly arrived, Gordon thought him the most beautiful sight he's ever seen. Boko! Thank God! Save me! Having a wee trouble with those two steamers? Don't worry, I'll settle them. Boko seized up the situation and threatened to take away the trucks he had brought for Bill and Ben. This made the trucks behave at once. Gordon thought he was wonderful. Those little demons, how'd you do it? Well, it's just a knack. Gordon still believes that Boko saved his life, but we know the twins were only teasing, don't we? And every year, on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy, what the hell are you talking about? It's the ghost train. Driver saw it last night. Where? Oh, he didn't say. It makes my wheels wobble to think of it. You're just silly little engine. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television. Percy was disappointed. That evening, he came back from the harbor. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. All right, let's see what we got here. Crow's Farm Crossing. Yeah, shan't be long now. He liked running at night. The rails hummed, signal lights shone green as they passed them. However, a broken cart of lime sat on the line. Sam the farmer had just gone for help. Hello there. What's going on over here? Well, I'll see to it, said the signalman. But you better clean Percy, or people think he's a ghost. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare the living shit out of Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly legend. Alright, well, I'm gonna help you then. Toby promised to help. He went to where Thomas was sitting. He was being oiled up for his next evening train. Oh my God, Thomas! You're the bad news! Percy ran into an accident! That means I'll be late. Well, they cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Who gives a shit? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you. Here I am. Here I am. Beep. Oh, beep, beep, beep. Let me in. Let me in. No, not the smoke from my chimney, Jim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh my God, it's getting late. Oh, I just realized I need to cancel my Netflix subscription. It was morning when Thomas returned. Hello, where have you been? Asked Toby. Well, you know how Facebook has been weird lately? Well, I went to go log on Twitter and... Oh, sorry, can't stop. I think Instagram sent me a notification. Percy was none the worse for his adventure, and was still enjoying himself enormously. He heard everything. Well, what do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost. In summer, the gangers cut the grass on the line side, raking it into heaps to dry it in the sun. At this time of year, Percy stops where they had been cutting. The men load up his empty wagons and pulls them to the station. And then Toby would take them to the hills for the farmers to feed their stock. One day Thomas was minding his own business when Percy decided to troll him once again. Don't be frightened, Thomas. It's only me. Your ugly fizz is enough to frighten anyone. You're like ugly indeed. I'm a green caterpillar with red stripes. You crawl like one too. I don't. Well, it's been late every afternoon this week. It's the hay. I can't help that. Time's time, and the fat director relies on me to keep it. I can't if you crawl in the hay till all hours. Green caterpillar indeed, fumed Percy. He set off to collect some hay to take to the harbor. I just don't get it. Everyone says I'm handsome, or at least nearly everyone. Anyway, my curves are better than Thomas's corners. Thomas says I'm always late. He grumbled. I'm never late. Or at least only a few minutes. But what's that to Thomas? He can always catch up time further on. All the same, he and his driver decided to start home early. And then, something unexpected happened. What the hell is that? God damn it! Oh, trickle! While Percy was traveling, the wind was blowing fiercely. Well, what do you think about that? Exclaimed the driver as he puffed along. The wind caught the piled hay, tossing it up and over the track, and the line climbed here. I can't move now! Son of a bitch! 10 minutes late, I warned him. Passengers will complain, and the fat director... And then they all saw Percy. They laughed and laughed their asses off. Oh my God! Oh, sorry I'm late, Percy panted. Look what's crawling out of the hay. What's wrong? Talk about hairy caterpillars. It's worth being late to have seen you. When Percy got home, his driver showed him what he would look like as he took out a mirror and showed it to his face. Oh my God! No wonder they all laughed. I'm just like a woolly bear. Please clean me before Toby comes. But it was no good. Thomas told Toby all about it, and subsequently everyone else on social media. Instead of talking about sensible things like playing ghosts, Thomas and Toby made bad jokes about woolly bear caterpillars and other creatures which crawl about in the hay. They laughed a lot, but Percy thought they were being really, really, really silly indeed. How could this year get any worse than this? Every summer, the island of Sodor is very busy. Holiday makers love to sightsee, and when the weather is just A-OK, there's no better place to visit. Some people like to go to the mountains, others like the valleys, and of course, the children love the seaside. One fine morning, Thomas was puffing along the line that runs to the coast. His two coaches, Annie and Clarabelle, were packed with children going to the beach, and everyone was happy. Percy had taken some trucks to the harbor. Hello, Thomas! You look cheerful. I wish I could take children today instead of trucks. Oh, they're the Vicar's Sunday School, explained Thomas. I'm busy this evening, but the station master says I can ask you to take the children home. Oh, I'm going to. I will, promised Percy. And then Percy saw Harold. Sorry, Percy, I can't talk. I'm on high alert. Why? The bad weather is due. My help's always needed. Mind how you go, Percy. You kidding? As long as I got rails to run on, I can go anywhere in any weather, anyhow. Goodbye! And he set off for the top station. It was a beautiful day, but Edward was worried. Be careful. There's a storm coming. A promise is a promise, thought Percy. And I'm going to keep it, no matter what the weather is. The children had a lovely day, but by dinner time, dark clouds loomed ahead. Annie and Clarabelle were glad when Percy arrived, and he was just in time. The rain streamed down Percy's boiler. Oh, my God! He shivered and thought of his nice dry shed. Percy struggled on past villages and into the country. The river was rising fast. I wish I could see, complained Percy as he battled against the rain. Unfortunately, trouble would be laying ahead, as the tracks just up ahead were flooded, and the worst happened. Ah! The water's slushing my fire! Percy's driver and fireman had to find some more firewood. Hey, I'll have some of your floorboards, please, said the fireman guard. Damn it! I only slept the floor this morning, grumbled the guard. But he soon helped. Soon Percy's fire was burning well, and he felt warm and comfortable again. And then he saw Harold. Oh, God, thought Percy. Harold's come to laugh at me. Oh, damn! He shouldn't be throwing stuff. Oh, it's a parachute. Harold's dropping hot drinks for us. Oh, thank you, Harold. Well, I'm glad to be of service. Cheerio. The water lapped Percy's wheels, and Percy was losing steam again, but he plunged bravely on. I promised! I promised! I promised! He made one huge, big effort, and at last, exhausted but triumphant, he brought the train home. Well done, Percy, cheered Thomas. You kept your promise despite everything. The fat director arrived in Harold. First he thanked the men, and then he thanked Percy. Well, Harold told me you were a wizard. He says he can beat you at some things, but not at being a submarine. I don't know what you two get up to sometimes, but I do know that you're a really useful engine. Oh, sir. It was an important day in the yard. Everyone was busy and very excited, making notes and taking photographs. A special visitor had arrived. His name is the city of Truro, and he had just arrived from the mainland and was now the center of attention. Who's that? Oh, that is a celebrity. A what? A celebrity, said Duck. He's very famous. The driver says we can talk to him soon. Oh, said Thomas. He's probably too famous to even notice us. Just then Gordon arrived. Pah, said Gordon. Who gives a shit? A lot of fuss about nothing if you ask me. And he steamed away. Later that night, the engines found the city of Truro was actually a really nice guy. He enjoyed talking to the other engines throughout the night and about his famous speed record on the mainland, which was more than 50 years ago. He left early the next morning, and Gordon was still complaining. Good riddance, he grumbled, chattering all night. Who is he anyway? Duck told you, replied Thomas. He's famous. As famous as me? Bullshit. The city of Truro was much more famous than you, replied Thomas. He went 100 miles an hour before you were put on a piece of paper. So he says, but I didn't like his looks. He's got no dome. Never trust Tumble's engines. They're not respectable. I never boast, but I say 100 miles an hour would be easy for me. Duck took some trucks to a random station. Hello. That famous engine. Same Truro was his name? He came through this morning. He whistled to me. Wasn't he kind? Well, he's the finest engine in the world. Then he told Gordon what Gordon had said. Take no notice. He's just jealous. He thinks no engine should be as famous as him. Oh, look, he's coming now. Gordon was running very fast and his wheels pounded the rails. He did it! I'll do it! He did it! I'll do it! Gordon's train rocketed past and was gone. Well, he's certainly going to get his ass whooped, chuckled Duck. Gordon's driver eased him off. Whoa there, steady there, Gordon, he called. We aren't running a race. Well, we are then, said Gordon, but he said to himself. Suddenly, Gordon began to feel quite a little strange. The top of my boiler seems funny, he thought. It feels as if something is loose. I'd better go slower. But it was too late. On the bridge, they met the wind. It was a teasing wind which blew suddenly in hard puffs. Gordon thought the wind wanted to push him off of it. Oh, no, you don't, he said firmly. But the wind had other ideas. It curled round his boiler, crept under his loose dome, and lifted him off and away into the valley below. Gordon was most uncomfortable. The cold wind was whistling through the hole where his dome should be, and he felt silly without it. At the big station, the trucks laughed at him. Gordon attempted to wish them away, but they crowded round no matter what he did. On the way back to the shed, Gordon wanted his driver to stop and fetch his dome. "Oh man, we ain't gonna find it now. You'll have to go to works for a new one." Gordon was furious. "I sure hope the shed is empty tonight," he huffed to himself. Unfortunately, the incident spread on social media somehow, and everyone was there waiting for him. Never trust domeless engines," said a voice from somewhere behind him. "They aren't respectable." Duck and Percy enjoyed working at the docks, pulling and pushing trucks full of cargo to and from the quay. But one morning, however, the engines were absolutely exhausted. The docks was busier than ever. The fat director promised that another engine would be found to help them. "Oh my God. It's about time," said Duck. "I ache so much I can hardly get my wheels to move," agreed Percy. They waited for the engine to arrive, and it came as an absolute shock when he did. "Good morning," squirmed Diesel in his oily voice. The two engines had not worked with Diesel for a long time, understandably so. "The hell are you doing over here?" "Your worthy fat Sir Topham Hat sent me," replied Diesel. "I hope you are pleased to see me. I am to shunt the dreadfully troublesome trucks." "Shunt where?" "Where? Why, from here to there, and again from there to here. Easy, isn't it?" With that, Diesel, as if he was to make himself quite clear, bumped some trucks hard. "Don't!" Shooting trucks. Percy and Duck were horrified. They did not trust Diesel at all. They refused to work and would not leave their shed. The fat director was enjoying some McDonald's when the telephone rang. "What? There's trouble in the dockyards? I'll be there right now." Diesel was working loudly and alone. Cargo lay on the quay. Ships and passengers were delayed, and everyone was attempting to tarnish the fat director's railway's reputation. Again. Percy and Duck were sulking in their shed. "What the hell is this?" demanded the fat director. "We're on strike, sir," said Percy. "Yes," said Duck. "Beg pardon, sir, but we won't work with Diesel, sir." Then in a quiet, hurt voice he added, "I thought you sent him packing, sir." "I have to give Diesel a second chance. I'm trying to help you by bringing Diesel here. Now you must help me." He was the only engine available. Percy and Duck sighed and went sadly back to work. Next morning, things were no better. Diesel's driver had not put his brakes on properly, and Diesel started to move. "Wake up there, Percy," scowled Diesel. "You've got work to do." He didn't even say he was sorry to Percy. What an asshole! Later, Diesel bumped the truck so hard the loads went everywhere. "Oh my God, what will the fat director say about this when he finds out?" "He won't like it." "So who's going to tell him, I wonder, eh? Two little goody tattletales like you, I suppose?" Percy and Duck did not want to be tattletales, so they said nothing. Diesel, thinking he could get away with his bad behavior, was ruder than ever. The next day he was shutting trucks full of China clay, and he banged the trucks so hard into the buffers, but the buffers weren't secure. The fat director heard the news, and the trucks were hoisted safely from the sea. However, the clay was lost. The fat director spoke severely to Diesel. The dock manager told me everything. Things were much better here before you arrived. I shall not be inviting you back for another few years. Now, Chuck and Percy, I hope you won't mind having to handle the work by yourselves again. Oh, we don't mind, replied the engines. Whistling cheerfully, they puffed back to work, while Diesel sulked slowly away, never to be seen again for a few years. Henry the Green Engine has lived on the island of Sodor for many years. He wouldn't want to be anywhere else. He likes every part of it, from the fields filled with flowers to the white, sandy beaches. But there is one place that Henry always enjoyed visiting more than any other. His driver knew this too. Come on, Henry, he would sometimes say. We've made good time today. We'll stop for a while by the forest. Henry loved it here. The forest was full of broad oaks and tall pines. Henry could remember the day, long ago, when he and Toby bought some new trees to be planted, and Terence and Trevor helped haul them into place. And now he could see the trees growing amongst the others on the hillside. Henry always felt better for being here. He really couldn't explain why, but his driver understood this, though. It is peaceful, he said to Henry. One peculiar night, it was stormy, and everything changed. The engines were resting in the shed. Listen, can you hear a strange whistling sound? Well, it's the wind blowing outside the shed, but I never heard it like this before. Oh, do you know what? If Gordon was here now, I'd say it was him thundering by with the express. I hope the wind won't harm the forest. But he was wrong. By morning, the fierce winds had gone, but the damage was done. Henry's driver came to see him in the yard. Trees have fallen on the line. We must help clear the tracks. And so Donald set off with the breakdown train, and Henry followed. It was a very heartbreaking sight. Trees lay everywhere. The hillside now looked so bare, and Henry felt sad. What will happen to all the animals who live here, he thought. When Henry's flatbeds were full of logs, he took them to the timber mill, where they would be turned into furniture and other things. Henry was glad the wood was being put to good use, but he was heartbroken because he lost part of the forest. Oh dear, I just wish there was something we could do to make things better again. Yeah, but how are we going to do that? We can't mend broken trees. Toby puffed slowly into the yard. Hello, Toby, said the fat director. You look glum. I am, sir. I'm sad about the trees, and so's Henry. The forest is a special place to him, and now some of it is gone. Well, we'll soon put that right. I have an important job for you, Toby. I'd like for you to take some trucks to the forest. When the trucks arrived, Toby was delighted. They were all full of saplings, and they were all ready for planting. This is the best job I've ever had, said Toby happily. Henry was shocked over what he saw when he returned to the forest. There were Trevor and Terence busily helping the workmen clear the torn stumps branches. Look, Henry, we're beginning again. The hillside will look better than ever before. You'll see. And now, Henry could see the new trees growing strong and tall, and the animals that were frightened away had come back. Sometimes everywhere is quiet, and other times Henry could hear the leaves rustling or a bird's wing brushing the air. Often he could hear the distant sound of children and laughing, and always he's happy here. It was the morning after Gordon fell into a ditch. He steamed into the yard, and mud had blown all over his smart blue paint. "Hello, Gordon. Looks like you took a mud bath. Be a sensible engine and just have a shower instead, okay?" "I haven't time to dawdle over my appearance like fussy tank engines do." The wind blew stronger. "Steady there, Gordon! Slow down!" This made Gordon even crosser. "I'll be dirty and late! Dirty and late!" he hissed. At the next station, there was a sign that read, "All trains must wash down daily." James had just finished being cleaned. "Come on, Gordon," said his driver. "You'll feel better after a good hose down." "Pah!" said Gordon, angrily let off steam. "What the frack?" "Nice going, jackass. Now James will need another shower. You have to wait your turn till later." "Good riddance. I'm far too busy to waste time with water." He finished his journey safely and steamed into the big station. The fat director was waiting, and so were the coaches and passengers. "Oh my God," said the fat director. "You can't pull the train. Henry will have to do it. Gordon, you better get cleaned right now." Gordon was soon being washed by a bunch of people. "Mind my eyes," he grumbled. The workmen just ignored him and carried on cleaning. So Gordon had to pull trucks for the rest of the day, and he felt his position deeply. "Goods trades! Goods trades! This one's for you! And you! Trucks will be trucks! They won't with me. I'll teach them." James got ready to take the express, and Gordon returned. "Be careful," warned Gordon. "The hills are slippery, and you may need help." "Bullshit. I don't need help on hills," replied James huffily. "Gordon thinks he knows everything. Who does he think he is?" Earlier, a storm had swept Gordon's hill, blowing leaves onto the track. Even though the storm probably already passed by now, the hill was still difficult to climb. James, of course, knew this, and the signal showed clear, and James began to go faster. "I'm a-gonna do it! I'm a-gonna do it! I'm a-gonna do it!" he puffed. Halfway up, he wasn't very sure about this. "I must do it! I must do it! Oh my God! Oh no! Oh no! I'm losing my grip! Ah! Help! Help!" His wheels were turning forward, but he went backwards instead, and forced to go down the hill. His driver shut off steam and put on the brakes, then carefully he stopped the train. Gordon saw everything. "Oh, well, we live and learn. Never mind, little James. I'm going to push behind." Clouds of smoke steamed toward from the snorting engines as they struggled up the hill. "We can do it! We can do it! We can do it!" At last, they finally reached the summit. "Beep, beep! Thank you very much! Goodbye! Oh, have a good day, James." That night, the fat director came to see Gordon. "Well, I'm pleased with your work today. It'll be a while before I let you pull coaches again, but understand having a good washdown is essential in every engine, then I may allow it." "Thank you," grunted Gordon. The other engines settled happily to sleep. "Dirty or clean, I am a famous machine," murmured Gordon. But no one heard but him. Trevor the traction engine was enjoying his work on the vicarage orchard. The birds were singing and the apples were rippling on the trees. It was a lovely day. "Hello, Trevor. You look as bright and cheerful as my red paint." "Oh, I am," replied Trevor. "What's that noise?" Oh, it's the bees, laughed Trevor. They're all in these boxy things called beehives. I'm taking them to the station. The vicar says his bees make good honey and is giving some to his friends. Just then, Boko the diesel engine hummed in. Take care, you two. Don't make the bees angry. They might sting you. James didn't like being told what to do by a diesel, and he buzzed away. Goodbye, Trevor, called Boko, and set off to see Duck at the docks. Bill and Ben, the tank engine twins, were busy arranging trucks, but they scampered off when Boko was in sight. I remember the first time I met those two, laughed Boko. They nearly made my eyes fall out. Edward soon put a stop to their bullshit. Edward's the only one who can keep Bill and Ben in order. Sometimes I call them the Bees. A good name. They're terrors when they start buzzing around. What's that, Duck? You afraid of bees? They're only insects after all, so don't let that buzzbox tell you different. His name is Boko, and he didn't. I don't give a flying hell if hundreds of these insects are swarming around. I just blow smoke and make them buzz off. Buzz, 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 retorted Juck. Next morning, James arrived at the station to collect his coaches. The passengers were excited and keen to get on board. The platform was crowded, and the porter has OCD for some reason. Mind your backs, he shouted. And then there was chaos. The beehive fell and broke open, and the station population was deleted. James heard a familiar buzzing. The bees were too cold to be crossed, so they buzzed around the fireman, hoping he'd mend their hive. But he didn't understand, nor did his driver. So the bees turned to James. His boiler was nice and warm. Buzz off, idiots! Phew, phew. The bee thought James burned it on purpose. So the bee sacrificed its life to sting James on the nose. He had had enough, and so would his driver and fireman. They didn't notice till too late that they left all the coaches behind. They tried everything to get rid of the bees. First, they did that turntable gag back in Season 1, but to no avail. Then they tried washing them off, but the bees clung harder to James. Warm boiler. And then they tried to see if they could smoke them off by going through a long tunnel, but still the bees wouldn't go away. It's no good, James, said his driver. We'll just have to go back to the orchard and fetch another tree. Motherfucker! The vicar was waiting anxiously for James. When he arrived, the bees swarmed straight into their new home. Come on, James. What you need now is a good hose now. Later that evening, James was resting in the shed, and the vicar came to see him. Well, thank you for saving my bees, he said. It's a pity it's not Christmas. Then we would call you James the Red-Nosed Engine. Everyone laughed, even James, but instead they decided to call him the Bee's Knees, which means he thought he was more useful than ever. Percy and Duck like working at the docks by the sea. On a clear summer's night, there is no better place to be. The big ships bring passengers. Cargo ships carry machinery and other things. Duck and Percy puff backwards and forwards with the crates of cargo as they are loaded and unloaded by the quayside. Early one morning, Duck and Percy had noticed that the horizon was packed with sails flapping against the blue sky. I wish I could sail to faraway lands, sighed Duck. Engines can't go sailing. 'cause engines can't float, they sink. Duck still had his dreams. Suddenly they were rudely interrupted. Wakey, wakey, buds. Oh, we're not sleeping. I'm just looking at the boats. That's the regatta, warned Harold. Lots of boats, lots of races, great fun. I always hover around here in case I'm needed. Do you go to the horizon? Asked Duck. Yes, and beyond. I didn't know there was a beyond. Do you go to other places at sea? Oh, yeah. I can land on ships, you know. Anywhere, anytime. I must go now. See ya. Duck sighed. He went on talking about the regatta all day. And at last, Percy was fed up with this. Well, Duck, I'd rather have my wheels on solid ground. Our rails can take us all to places we could ever wish to see. Suddenly, they heard an alarm. That's an emergency, called Duck's driver. I'll check with the dock manager. And they returned with bad news. A man taking part in the regatta chopped his hand off. We're going to take him to the hospital at the next station. Harold's bringing him now. Come on. Well, well, well. Good to see you again, Duck, whirred Harold as he landed carefully onto the platform. And the man was gently helped to safety. My job is to stay at sea in case of other emergencies. Otherwise, I would take this gentleman to the hospital myself. I must fly. Goodbye. Duck set off on his epic journey. Soon he was steaming very well, and his wheels were thundering along the track. And when they reached the station, the man had thanked everyone. And Bertie the bus got ready to take him to the hospital. You look splendid flying along the line, Duck, gloated Bertie. No wonder they call you Great Western. Percy's right. Engines are happiest when their wheels are firmly on the rails. That night, Percy and Duck decided to stay longer at the quay. The air was warm, and the sea was calm. Look, there's a shooting star, said Duck. Don't be daft, it's only Harold. Look, he's hovering overhead. Something fluttered down the line towards Duck. Gotcha. It's a flag from the regatta. Harold's giving it to you as a present, Duck. Oh, that's kind of Harold, whispered Duck. He may have whirly arms instead of wheels, but he seems to understand just what an engine needs. Duck still wonders about the lands beyond the horizon, but he enjoys being with friends most of all, and I think he knows that sometimes the best travels are those we can only dream about. Don't you? Bill and Ben are the most mischievous engines working on the Fat Director's Railway. They are kept busy pushing and pulling trucks up and down the line that runs from the China Clay Works to the dockyards. They absolutely like to have fun together and often troll everyone. Sometimes their teasing ways can get them in trouble. Jackass! One morning, the Fat Director came to see him. Important goods have arrived at the big yards, Bill and Ben. I need you to help the other engines. Oh, yes, sir, of course, replied the twins. They set off happily on their important mission. Boko was idling in the yard when suddenly he heard a pair of familiar whistles. Here comes trouble. Hello! Fat Director told us you were tired. He asked us to come take all your trucks for you. You two never stop, do you? But I'm wise to your pranks, and we do need your help here. The twins were soon busy pushing and pulling the heavy trucks into place. At last, the day's work was finally done, and the twins were very ecstatic. They were about to use the turntable for the very first time in their lives. Bill went first. "My God, this is fun!" he shrieked to Ben. He didn't want to move off, and the foreman stopped it. "Please make way for the other engines," he ordered. Bill obliged, but unfortunately the foreman accidentally stopped the turntable in the wrong spot. What the? I was here first, said Bill. "No, you were my way. You have to back up again." "No, I won't. You will. I won't." The factory director came to stop the noise. "If you don't behave, I shall not allow you here again." The next day, Ben was still fuming. "Ah, that Bill. Imagine getting in my way on the turntable. He's a really silly engine." The way I heard it, sounded like you were both to blame." "Huh. Must have heard it all wrong." The twins grumbled about each other for the rest of the day. And it came to the point that even kind Edward was sick of it. All this grumbling spreads bad atmosphere in the yard. "You're quite right, big guy. That's why I've up with a plan." He whispered his plan to Edward. Then his driver told the fat director, "Well, I'm going to start making arrangements right now." Next morning, he called Bill and Ben to the yard. "Bunko is taking a special train to the dockyard. His regular heavy goods train is waiting in the siding. You can pull it together." But, excellent! I knew I could rely on you two." "I'll take the train myself," huffed Ben. "Go right ahead," said Bill. Ben was coupled up to the train of trucks, but they were far too heavy for him to move alone. "Go on." "I can't." "Okay, I don't think we'll take turns this time, Ben. I think we'd better all pull together." Ben was delighted. It was good to be helping each other. Best of all, it was good to be friends again. One fine morning, Gord was in the yard taking on a large supply of coal. "That's the third load of coal you had today, Gordon," said James. "Some might say you're being rather greedy. I'm an important engine. Important engines need plenty of coal, but I doubt if you would understand that, James." James snorted. He was absolutely livid about what he just heard. He went about his work. Later, Gordon had to take on water from a standpipe because the water tower was under repair for some reason. "I wouldn't drink too much of that water if I were you," Gordon said. "Duck, it might give you boiling." "Pah! What's this? Educating Gordon Day? First James and now you, Duck. Big engines have big needs. Little engines are just annoying." "Don't say I didn't warn you," laughed Duck. Later, Gordon steamed into the yard at the terminus station. "That's what I need," exclaimed Gordon. There, he saw the Flying Scotsman having a drink at the water tower. He had 2 shiny tenders. Now, if I had 2 tenders, I wouldn't need to stop so often, and I wouldn't have to listen to silly little engines. "Well, those tenders do look very grand," replied his driver. Diesel sidled up alongside. "Everyone knows that tenders are market distinction, but I'm afraid that no amount of tenders will save you in the end. We Diesels are taking over, and we don't need tenders to make us important. Not even one." Gordon was most upset. He was feeling just the same 24 hours later. "I'm not happy. I know. It's boiler ache. No, it's not boiler ache. Of course it is, interrupted Henry. That water's bad. Your boiler must be full of sludge. Have a good washout. Then you'll feel a different engine. How do you like them apples? Don't be vulgar, puffed Gordon. He backed down onto his train, hissing mournfully. What's going on? Asked the fat director. I don't know. Is it true what Diesel says, sir? What does he say? The Diesel's taking over? Oh, don't worry. That ain't gonna happen on my railway anytime soon. And one more thing, sir. Why did the Flying Scotsman have 2 tenders? Oh, simple. He lives on a railway with long distances between coaling depots. Gordon was relieved. His issues were resolved, but for some reason Henry started complaining, and he banged some trucks angrily. God, I always work hard enough for 2, he puffed. I deserve another tender. Duck whispered something to Donald. He was going to troll Henry real hard. Henry, would you like my tenders? Yours? What have you got to do with tenders? Okay. Sorry, deal's off. Would you like them, Donald? I wouldn't deprive you of the honor, replied Donald. Yes, it is a great honor. Perhaps James might relish in the whole idea of new tenders. Okay, sorry I was rude. How many tenders have you and when can I have them? I have 6 tenders and you can have them this evening. 6 lovely tenders, chortled Henry. What a splendid sight I shall be. Henry was excited all day. You think it'll be all right? He asked for the umpteenth time. Of course, said Duck. Besides, they're all ready now. The other engines waited where they could each get a good view. However, Henry was not a splendid sight at all. The 6 tenders that he got were very old, dirty, and filled with boiler sludge. Had a good washout, Henry, called a voice. That's right. You'll feel a different engine now. Henry wasn't sure, but he thought the voice belonged to Gordon. It was a splendid morning on the island of Sodor. James was feeling very pleased with himself. His red paint gleamed in the sunshine as he sped along the line. He reached the station just as Percy puffed in with some trucks. James was surprised to see him. What the hell are you doing over here, Percy? You should be at the next station by now. You're late. I know! These trucks have been troublesome all morning. Bullshit, snorted James. Nothing can stop us. The fat director relies on us to be on time. Now, if you excuse me, I'll be on my merry way. And James puffed importantly away. What an asshole, muttered Percy. James arrived at the docks. It was apparently market day. The dockyard was filled with the sweet smell of fruit from who knows where. The fruit was delivered in big ships. James watched as strawberries, oranges, melons, and bananas were carefully loaded onto his trucks. And then he set off for the big station on the main line. And on the way, he met Thomas, who was apparently visiting the branch for some reason. Really reliable, that's me, patted James proudly. Pity the same can't be said for Percy. Adios! Well, what was that all about? Oh, that was trouble. Trouble for James. Just wait and see. Percy was back in the yard and busy shunting. He had the trucks in good order and was making up for lost time. But the station master had bad news. What happened? James' brakes are jammed. Big surprise. We need Percy's help right now. Percy quickly set off to the rescue. And he found James stuck on the line at a halt, looking glum. Got yourself in the jam, eh, James? What you might call a sticky situation? Shut the fuck up, snapped James. It's not funny having jam brakes. Not very reliable either, teased Percy. I'm surprised that you let it happen, James. Nothing can stop us engines. Okay, that's it. That's enough. Can you push these trucks? Of course I can, whistled Percy. There's no time to lose. James has done too much of that already. Off we go, whistled Percy. I'll have to go fast to get there on time. These big engines are so unreliable. Careful, Percy! Percy was in a hurry. He didn't see the points failed, and he diverted to his siding. Look out! Look out, Percy! Wait, what? The fat director saw what was going on. He was pissed off. Percy, you do realize that I do not run a jam factory, right? You don't, sir. And Percy squelched sadly away. That night, the shed was silent. James and Percy felt very sorry for themselves. You know, there's more than one way to get jammed, and we all learned that today. You know what's more? We also learned that sometimes when engines help each other out of a jam, things can still go wrong. In the end, that means we learned a lot today. Therefore, we're really useful engines after all. If you should visit a place that has a lake in the woods and a beautiful waterfall, then you may also find two little engines called Scarloey and Renius. The engines know everybody, and everybody knows them. There happens to be two more engines. Their names were Sir Handel and Peter Sam. They used to be called Stuart and Falcon, but for whatever reason, their names were changed. Oh well, but they liked their new names better. One day, the fat director sent Edward to the works to be overhauled. A big surprise awaited Edward when he arrived. It's Scarloey. What's he doing here? Scarloey was pleased to see Edward. I've been sent here for a rest, he sighed. I was put in this shed so that I could see everything and not be lonely. But I do miss Renius. He has been sent away to be overhauled. I wish I could be overhauled too, and pull coaches again. Just then some workmen arrived. We're going to take you to the works now, Edward. Come along. Goodbye, Scarloey. I must say, your railway's a lovely line. Oh, it is, it is. You cheered me up, Edward. Goodbye. Meanwhile, Sir Handel was having trouble with some coaches. He tried to be kind, but the coaches didn't trust him. Gee, I wonder why. They were awkward and very rude. There was worse to come. Some stupid sheep strayed onto the line. What the hell? He bumped us! Let's pay him out! And they surged into Sir Handel and pushed him off the rails. Bruh! All Sir Handel could do was limp to the shed. Well, no more work for you today, said his driver. How are we going to pull the visitors' train without an engine? What about me, sir? What, Scarloey? Can you do it? I'll try, said the old engine. The coaches stood at the platform when Scarloey arrived at the station. I'm ashamed of you, scolded Scarloey. You might have hurt your passengers. On market day, no less. The coaches quivered. We're sorry, Scarloey. The guard blew the whistle, and their journey began. Scarloey remembered all the gates, stiles, and halts where he had to stop. The sun was shining, The birds were singing, and the rails were dry. "This is lovely," said Scarloey. Eventually, the line grew to be pretty steep, and Scarloey felt short of steam. "Don't worry, just take your time, okay? It'd be better downhill," Scarloey said to himself. But it sure as hell wasn't. His springs were weak, and the rail joints jarred his reels. At last, a spring gave way. "Oh, oh my God! Oh my God! I feel all crooked!" cried Scarloey. "We'll need a bus now for our passengers," sighed his driver. "No! I'm getting them to the station, or I'll be in pieces." James was waiting at the platform. Clanking and clanking, Scarloey steamed in. "Huh! Oh my God! I've done it! I've done it!" James collected his passengers and respectfully puffed away. Everyone was pretty pleased with Scarloey, but he was still worried. Old engines can't pull trains like the young ones can. "Well, they can if they're overhauled, old faithful," smiled his driver. "That's what's going to happen to you, boy." "You deserve it." Scarloey and Renius work on a railway that weaves around the lakes and the mountainsides. The coaches are filled with visitors, and the engines are proud to run the line, come rain or shine. The engines will never let their passengers down, ever, but they are old, and they tire more easily. Fortunately, their drivers understood this, and they spoke kindly to him. "There's more than enough work for you both on this railway. The Fat Director is sending 2 more engines to help us run the line." Scarloey and Renius were pleased with the news and promised to give the new engines a big welcome. When Sir Handel and Peter Sam arrived at the sheds, they found they had much to learn. "Oh, what a small shed," grumbled Sir Handel. "This won't do at all. We're much too smart for this old shit." "I think it's nice." "God, what the hell is this rubbish?" "Shh, that's Scarloey. He's famous." And he whispered to Scarloey. "Sorry, Scarloey. Sir Handel's upset now, but he's quite nice, really, when he's not on drugs." Scarloey felt sorry for Peter Sam. "Now, Sir Handel," said the fireman, "I will get you ready for work. I'm tired. Let Peter Sam go. He'll love it." "No, you're first." Sir Handel puffed away to fetch his coaches. He did not like the look of them at all. "Whatever next? Those aren't coaches, they're cattle trucks." "What a horrid engine!" "It's not what I'm used to," clanked Sir Handel. He rolled to the platform just as Gordon made his arrival. "Hello, who are you?" I'm Gordon. Who are you?" "I'm Sir Handel. I've heard of you. You're an express engine." "So am I. But I'm used to smart coaches, not these cattle trucks. Do you have smart coaches?" "I see you do. We must have a chat. Sorry I can't stop. We must keep time, you know." Gordon was speechless. Clouds of steam filled the air as Sir Handel huffed and puffed along the line. To no one's surprise, he was still fuming and pissed off when he reached the top station. Sir Handel was hoping for a rest, but his driver thought otherwise. We'll leave the coaches now and fetch some trucks from the slate quarry. Trucks? No, hell no! I won't, so there. Sir Handel was about to do something extremely stupid. He derailed on a badminton line on purpose. God damn it! I told you so, said Sir Handel. By the time the workmen came to rescue him, Sir Handel was feeling rather stupid. And the fat director stood there. His message to Sir Handel was brief and blunt. I'm gonna talk to you later. Then he and the fireman left with Peter Sam. And Sir Handel felt sillier still. Come on, let's get you back on the rails. When Sir Handel crawled home, he found the fat director waiting for him. You're a very naughty engine. I'm going to banish you to the Shadow Realm. I'm going to have to go get you one of these days. And so Sir Handel was banished to the Shadow Realm. End of story. Sir Handel had been an asshole recently, so the fat director was planning to send him to the Shadow Realm in a couple days. Peter Sam was now busier than ever. He had to do Sir Handel's work as well as his own. He was very excited, and the firemen found him hard to handle. Anyone would think that he wanted to work, said Sir Handel, who was lonely and bored. All respectable engines do, replied Scarlowy. Just keep calm, Peter Sam, and you'll do well. But Peter Sam was in such a state, he couldn't listen. He collected some coaches and went on his way. Somehow, the faster he really wanted to go, the slower the journey unfortunately became. When Peter Sam arrived at the station, it came as no surprise that Henry was already there, wearing Gordon's funny mask. This won't do, youngster, said Henry. I cannot be kept waiting. If you are late tonight, I'm going to go off and abandon your passengers. Said Peter Sam. Though he was worried internally, but not for long. The guard blew his whistle and waved his green flag. Peter Sam puffed happily away, singing a little song. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. I'm Peter Sam, I'm running this line. What fun it all is, he thought, as he journeyed along the line. The coaches were actually enjoying themselves too. They were growing fond of Peter Sam, because he handles them pretty nicely, in a good way. Every afternoon, they had to wait an hour at the station by the lake. The station had a little shop selling refreshments called Neptune Refreshments. I don't know why, but oh well, I guess that's what we're going for. Anyway, the driver, fireman, and guard buy tea and cakes from the refreshment lady. At last the waiting was over and Peter Sam was sizzling with impatience. Beep! Hurry up, please, he whistled to passengers. How awful, he thought, if we miss Henry's train. The guard was ready with his flag and whistle. The refreshment lady was making her way to the train. And then it happened. The guard said Peter Sam was too impatient, but Peter Sam was convinced he heard a guard whistle. Anyway, he started. Stop! 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 Well, the coaches, you've left the refreshment lady behind! Botheration! Groaned Peter Sam. Oh, we're sure to miss Henry now. The refreshment lady climbed aboard, and they started again. Peter Sam did not sing anymore. He hurried along the line instead, as fast as his wheels would allow him. They arrived at the big terminus station just in time. Hurrah! I made it! Not bad, youngster, said Henry loftily. The refreshment lady was pretty cross. What do you mean by leaving me behind, I'm sorry, refreshment lady, but Henry said he might leave without us. You silly engine. Henry was teasing you. He wouldn't have gone without our passengers. He's a guaranteed connection. Oh, thank God. That's a relief. Where is Henry, anyway? Henry already chortled away. Oh, fuck. Every day, where the little engines work, the crisp air is suddenly filled with a familiar noise. The lakes and mountains have many visitors, and Harold the helicopter flies in the sky, making sure that no one's in trouble. All present and correct. Time to return to base. Then Harold noticed something. A sturdy diesel was coming across a mountainside. Harold flew lower for a closer inspection. Hello? Hey, I'm Harold. So what's your name? I'm Rusty, replied the diesel. Don't recall seeing you before. What brings you this way? Oh, the fat director sent me to help the other engines, huffed Rusty. This is no time to chat with a helicopter. Okay, well done. Cheers. Keep up the good work. Cheeky chopper. Not long now, encouraged the driver. We'll soon be at the top station. Peter, Sam, and Sir Handel were pretty pleased to see Rusty. Though Sir Handel wouldn't stop grumbling, the trucks hated Sir Handel and wanted to troll him. No one understands our feelings. Now, if you were pretend to have a common cold disease, you wouldn't shun trucks, could you? That's a good idea. I'm gonna do it. Tomorrow. And he did it next morning. I have the common cold, he groaned. There wasn't time to examine him, so some of his trucks were coupled behind Peter Sam's coaches. Rusty promised to follow with the rest. Peter Sam relished in the extra work, and he left his coaches at the station and trundled cheerfully on. Soon they reached a slate quarry where the trucks were needed. Empty trucks at the bottom of the slope were hitched to a steel rope. Loaded ones at the top are hitched to another. By their weight, loaded trucks run down the steep slope, pulling the empty ones up. Peter Sam dully waited at the bottom of the slope for the loaded trucks. He never ever bumped trucks unless they misbehaved. Though the loaded trucks couldn't see him properly, they were convinced that he was Sir Handel. Gee, I wonder why. Probably looks similar, but oh well. Anyway, the chance for trickery had come. Faster! Faster! They yelled. No! It's Peter Sam! But it was no use. Hurrah! Hurrah! Roared the trucks. Peter Sam shut his eyes. Oh. Beep. Beep. Well, Peter Sam. Rusty was working nearby and came to help clear the mess. Holy moly! Oh well, never mind. We'll get you out of that. Peter Sam felt battered. His funnel was cracked and his boiler dented. Thank you, Rusty, he sighed, and limped slowly home. I'm sorry about your accident, said Sir Handel. I always stand well back. Trucks don't like me. Why didn't you warn me? I didn't think... You never do. You could start thinking now while I finalize your preparation to the Shadow Realm. That'll teach you to pretend you're ill. Sir Handel did start thinking about Gordon. And then when the wreckage was cleared away, Rusty set off along the line. Hello, hello. Nice to see you again, was Harold. I'm just finishing up my evening lookabout. Well done, replied Rusty. Keep up the good work. And the little diesel purred back home. Scarloey had recently returned home after a long maintenance session. He felt much better. Rusty the Diesel was helping him off his truck. Scarloey never met the little diesel before. Rusty seems a kindly sort of engine, he thought to himself. I help mend the line and do our jobs, explained Rusty. I hear everyone is looking forward to seeing you again. Come on. Peter Sam was feeling pretty depressed. He was still getting over his accident he had the other day, but he wanted to start work again, but the fat director wouldn't let him. Cheer up. Another day's rest will do you good, he said. Besides, I got a surprise for you. A surprise, sir? How nice! What is it? Oh, just you wait and see. The surprise? Scarloey returned. Oh, said Peter Sam. I'm finally glad you're home. They lit Scarloey's fire and he sizzled happily. I feel all excited, he said, just like a young engine. Now tell me all the news. I see you met Rusty, said Peter Sam. Yes, I like that diesel. So do I, replied Peter Sam. It's a pity Duncan doesn't. Who's Duncan? Oh, he came as a spare engine after my accident, replied Peter Sam. Is he useful? He sure does, but he is an asshole, though. He's bouncy and rude. He sings and sways, swivels around. His driver calls it rock and roll. I understand, said Scarloey gravely. His driver interrupted. Duncan done it again. He's stuck in the tunnel. Come on, old boy, we'll have to get him out. Scarloey was pleased. He was looking forward to having a nice run and meeting Duncan. How nice and smooth the rails are, thought Scarloey. They mended all the old bumps. That little diesel helped do that. What a difference Rusty's made to the line. A couple minutes later, they found Duncan inside of a tunnel. He was stuck at the far end of it and was furious and pissed off as hell. I'm a blade blunt engine, as speak as I find. Tunnels should be tunnels and not rabbit holes. This railway is bullshit. Don't be an asshole, snapped his driver. This tunnel is quite big enough for engines who don't rock and roll. It took some while to clear away the rocks and set Duncan free again. And at last, Scarloey was able to push Duncan and his coaches safely through, without the tunnel becoming any more damaged than it already is. The guard's van was left on a siding, and some workmen stayed to make sure everything was safe. During the whole ride home, Duncan was grumbling dreadfully, and Scarloey paid no attention at all. There was worse to come as the fat director spoke severely to Duncan. Listen to me, you stupid idiot! There's nothing wrong with that tunnel. You stuck in it because you tried to do rock and roll. Tunnels are not dance floors, and you are not a pop star! And then the fat director gave his full attention to Duncan's funnel. If it happens again, I shall find ways to cut you down to size. In other words, your career is... your career is on the line. Need I say more? Duncan thought the fat director said quite enough, and he remained completely silent and still for the whole evening. At least I hope so, jackass. Scarloey, the little engine, loves all the sights and sounds along his line, and knows them very well. After he had made his triumphant return from his overhaul, he was enjoying his life and journey more than ever before. Along the way, he made friends with Rusty, and he and the workmen finished mending up the line just a few days ago. I tell you, if I couldn't see these familiar faces in places, I'd think I was on a different railway. You've done wonders with these rails. I'm glad you're pleased. The fat director said, let's mend the track so well he won't know where he is. And we did. And you didn't, if you take my meaning. Scarlowly liked this hard-working Diesel. There's still just this one bad bit, though, warned Rusty. Just before the first station, at Crosney Curran, an engine might come off him, particularly Duncan. He'll rock and roll along the line. Oh, look at him right now. I shouldn't like his passengers hurt. What you saying about me? I'm a plain-speaking engine, and I believe in plain speaking. Speak up! Rusty warned Duncan about a bad bit of line. That's bullshit. I know my way about. I don't need smelly diesels to tell me what to do. Stupid ass. Rusty felt hurt. Duncan banged about the yard, and then he clattered crossly to the station. James was already there waiting for him. You're late, he snapped. I know! It's that stupid Diesel's fault. Rusty tries to teach me how to stay on the rails, and then goes off leaving me to find my own coaches. Oh, I understand that how you feel. Well, I know about Diesels. One crept into our yard and ordered us about. Me and my colleagues sent his ass packing. Duncan was filled with admiration. He didn't know that James was being an asshole, and sometimes didn't tell the truth. Send Rusty packing, send Rusty packing. He puffed down the line furiously. Well done, my boy. Keep it up, encouraged his driver. Soon they were near Crosney Curran, the first station. Duncan was pleased. Nothing's happened, nothing's happened. Silly old Diesel, clever me. And he rocked and rolled along the line. Steady, boy! Steady, boy! God damn it! I'm off! And he was. I warned him, said Rusty. All he did was call me names. The little Diesel refused to move. I'm ashamed of you, Rusty. Think of the passengers. What are they going to do? It just... Oh my God, I'd forgotten them. Yeah, of course. We must help the passengers. And Rusty roared into life. Duncan stood sad and solitary. He couldn't rock and roll now. Oh dear, everyone will know how much of an asshole I am. The passengers had to get out and help too, and they were pretty pissed off about this, but they worked as hard as possible. They carefully levered Duncan back onto the line, avoiding hospitalization. After that, Duncan was extra careful for the rest of the day. And then the evening came. Hey, Rusty. Thank you for helping me. I'm sorry I was rude to you. That's all right, Duncan. I wish all Diesels were like you. Let's be friends. Suits me. We'll mend that bad bit of rail first thing whenever we feel like it. Nancy is a guard's daughter. One day, all she does for a living is polish engines with the polish on a rag. Like she owns the damn place. Hurry up, lazy bones, she would always say. Your brass is filthy, aren't you ashamed? No, you're just an old fusspot. He was thinking about his friend Renius and all the good times they had shared together before Renius went away to be overhauled. Hey, don't you want to look nice when Renius comes home? What? Wait. Did somebody mark that? Alright. Well, that's coming soon, but Daddy told me. I'm gonna go now. Wait, do I really look nice? Please polish me again. You old fusspot. And Nancy worked again. Duncan was jealous. Aren't you gonna polish me too? Sorry, not today. I'm going now. I'm helping the refreshment lady this afternoon. We must get the ices ready for the passengers. Never mind, Duncan, she said. But Duncan did mind. This is absolute horseshit. Peter Sam gets a special funnel, Sir Handel gets special wheels, passengers get ices, but I'm not even polished. Of course this wasn't true, but Duncan enjoyed complaining. He became more of an asshole, as he's always been. That afternoon, there was bad news from up the line. One of Scarlowy's coaches has come off the rails, called Duncan's driver. We'll have to take the workmen there right away. All this extra work, grumbled Duncan. It wears an engine out. Oh, rubbish. Come on. The derailed coach was in the middle of Scarlowy's train, so he had gone to the top station with his front coaches. Duncan shunted the works train onto the sidings and left the workmen to sort out the mess, and then he brought the passengers and the rear coaches home. He sulked all the way. I get no rest! I get no rest, he muttered. Duncan made the journey impossible. He was short of steam, so his driver waited a little while at a causeway in the hope of raising more. But Duncan didn't even put any effort into anything at all. We'll keep our passengers waiting. You always think about the passengers and never about me. It wasn't long before Duncan built up enough steam to set off again. But he was still grumpy and cross, or pissed off. I'm overworked and I won't stand it. At last, they reached a viaduct that sat near the station. Come on! One more effort, and you'll have a rest and a drink at the station. Instead of complying, Duncan decided it was a good idea to stop in the middle of the bridge. You know what? Screw your station. I'm staying right here. And he did too. So Scarlowy had to drag Duncan's ass all the way to the platform. To no one's surprise, the passengers were extremely pissed off about this. They told everyone about how bad the railway was. And that night, the fat director spoke severely to Duncan. No passengers means no polish. How about no polish means no passengers? Duncan muttered to himself. He still has a lot to learn, doesn't he? He does. Duncan would not stop being an asshole. He grumbled that he wasn't polished enough, he grumbled that he was overworked, and most of all, he grumbled about the passengers. I am ashamed of you, Duncan, said Scarlowy. Thank God Renius is coming home soon. Perhaps he'll teach some sense before it's too late. What does Renius got to do with me? Renius saved our railway. Oh, please tell us about it, said Peter Sam. Well, it was before you came here. Things were bad. Renius and I had to keep the trains running, or else our railway would have to close. Oh, that's awful, murmured Peter Sam. No, it's just as awful. I couldn't stop hearing the theme song playing in the background on the left channel. Well, it could be worse, said Scarlowy. You know, Renius would often be short of steam, but he always struggled to his station and rested there. I mustn't stop between stations, he'd say. The passengers wouldn't like it. Bullshit, huffed Duncan. He had stopped on a viaduct and didn't give a hell at all. Passengers get cross if you stop at the wrong places. Renius stopped in the wrong place once, and this is what happened. One wet and windy afternoon, when the rails were damp, Renius was traveling home with a full train. Hell, there were even passengers in the guard's van, because of how full the coaches were. It wasn't a comfortable ride at all. Renius' wheels kept slipping, and it was a steep climb. At last his wheels gripped the rails again. Oh my God! The worst is over, he thought. Now we're away. However, Renius had spoken too soon. Oh, got a fucking cramp! Oh, he groaned, and Renius stopped on the loneliest part of the line. His driver examined him carefully. Your valve gear has jammed. We need to reach the next station. You think you can still get us there? I'll try, replied Renius. So Renius did his best. I can't imagine what it'd be like if I fail. The passengers are going to be pissed, and the railway will shut down just like the Mid-Sodor Railway. Everything blurred. He was too tired to make another turn of his wheels, but he persisted. And another, and another, and another. Despite his best efforts, he finally, tired but triumphant, managed to reach the old station. Oh, Kara! I'm here at last! Thank you for getting us home, said the passengers. We'll tell our friends on social media what a fine railway this is. His driver was delighted. You're a gallant little engine, he said to Renius. When you're rested, we'll mend you so we'll be ready for tomorrow. And Renius was always ready for tomorrow. Thank you for telling us about him, whispered Duncan. I was wrong. Passengers are important after all. Glad you were able to make some sense. Next day, Renius finally came home. Pretty much everyone was there to greet him. Edward pushed his truck to the siding, where he was lifted onto his own rails. There was a signal of a chorus of whistles from engines big and small. Everyone was happy, and Renius was pretty happy indeed. You know, this helps a little engine to feel that at last, he has really come home. And there was much rejoicing. Brendam Docks is one of the busiest dockyards on all of the island of Sodor. It's where ships, engines, and cranes alike are busy day and night, every day of the year. But poor Cranky the crane never ever gets a nap. He never gets to sleep early, he works all the time, and his only company are the gulls that settle on his arm, so Cranky is always an asshole. Need I say more? Ahoy there, Cranky, my boy! Where have you been? Snapped Cranky. And a good day to you too, Captain. Bill and Ben arrived for work full of mischief. Hurry the hell up! I haven't got all day. You're no fun, grumbled Bill. You wouldn't be fun if you were stuck up here, snapped Cranky. So that's why you're cranky, said Bill. You're lonely, said Ben. I'm not, Cranky cranked. So it's company you've been eating, said Salty. Reminds me of a lonely old Grand Banks lighthouse keeper. Not another one of your stories, cried Cranky. Oh, please, Salty, they chimed. We haven't heard it. Tell us about it. All right, well, here we go. 'Twas in the middle of a wee naughty storm, Salty began, the likes of which you see are once in a lifetime. This made Cranky very cranky, so cranky that he swung his arm around and dropped the pipes onto the tracks. Oh, shit. Oh shit. You blew the main down, matey! The engines were trapped. You're gonna get into trouble, sang Bill and Ben. The Fat Controller was in his office being measured for a new suit. When he heard the news, he left immediately for the docks. The Fat Controller knew that any delay at the docks could cause a great deal of trouble. You fucked up, Cranky, he said sternly. I'm sorry, sir, Cranky whispered. You engines will have to stay here tonight until Harvey cleans up the mess in the morning. Cranky's heart sunk, and Salty uttered those faithful words. It reminds me of a story. It was a bare cold winter. The brave little ship was stuck under the ice melted the next spring. He barely made it round the Cape. After 100 scary days at sea without a scratch, he sailed into port and crashed his bow not 15 feet in from my buffers. Of course, there was no surprise. No one got injured. Set my ears. Salty spent all night telling tales of powerful storms, daring rescues, and brave little ships. And when the sun rose, he was still talking and talking and talking. I can't take it anymore, groaned Cranky. Harvey the crane engine arrived. Hello, Fat Controller sent me to help clear away the mess, he puffed proudly. Cranky was so pleased the engines will be going soon, he forgot to be cranky. I'll never misbehave again, he promised, as long as I don't have to listen to any more copy pastas. And after Harvey and the workmen cleared the wreckage, Cranky worked hard all day. He carefully loaded the trucks and helped speed the engines on their way, and he said please and thank you. Well, this is new. But he spoke it too soon. Cranky couldn't help himself, and he would still make mistakes at times. Well, it was most certainly fun while it lasted, said Percy. And all the engines laughed, but Cranky was still cranky. It was winter on the island of Sodor. The first fogs had begun to roll in from the sea. Thomas, Annie, and Clarabelle loved the quiet of Misty Valley. But Thomas must be careful of rocks that sometimes fall onto the tracks. Cyril the Fogman has a very important job indeed. All he does for a living is putting detonators on the tracks to warn engines when there's a fog ahead. Oh, that made my axles tingle. Cyril done his job, said his driver. Better slow down, there's fog ahead. Thank you, Cyril, said Thomas. That night at the sheds, the Fat Controller had something special to show the engines. It was very large and strange looking. What is it? asked Percy. It's my new invention, a railway foghorn, said the Fat Controller. It warns you when there's a fog ahead. Like this, see, I'll show you. Holy shit, that is so loud! Too fucking loud! Sounds like a tugboat to me. What will Cyril do now, he asked. He will be getting a much-needed rest. Besides, this new foghorn will be more reliable. Poor Cyril. He's been scrapped. Next day, Percy was cheerfully shuffling through Misty Valley when all of a sudden... Oh, bollocks! That foghorn is so loud it rattles my dome. It doesn't even make my axles tingle. Still, we better slow down, said his driver. There's fog ahead. The foghorn had been so loud it made the hillside shake. No sooner was Percy out of sight, one rock fell, and then another, and then another, and then another. Before long, the track was completely walled off and the foghorn was destroyed. Several kilometers away, Thomas was puffing happily right on time. He was transporting building supplies to the castle. "Oh my God," said Thomas. "I can't see shit." And then, before he could think of anything else, "Holy my God! The hell happened to the foghorn?" "Hell if I know. At least nobody's been hurt. Toby will be coming down the line any second. If there's no fog warning, he'll run into us." "Leave it to me," called a voice from the fog. "It's Cyril. I hope he's on time." Toby and his coach Henrietta were chuffing along with some workmen. He was looking forward to a well-earned drink at the castle. "Oh, fog detonators! There must be a fog ahead. We better slow down." Just around the next bend, with his axles tingling, they stopped. Oh my God, that was close. Well, if it hadn't been for old Cyril, Toby would have whooped my ass. Instead of replacing Cyril with a foghorn, we'll replace the foghorn with Cyril. You, sir, are clearly more reliable. "Thank you, sir." "And thank you," said Toby. "New inventions are all very well, but they don't make my axles tingle." The engines on the island of Sodor look forward to Halloween. They love the Fat Controller's fireworks and the children dressing up as wizards and witches. They also loved Edward's scary stories. They say on Halloween, the ghost engine returns to the smelters looking for his lost whistle. Oh my God! That is the most spookiest story I've ever heard. The engines shivered. Later, the Fat Controller arrived. "Thomas, Percy, and Duck, I have a special job for you," he said. "You are to collect some scrap from the smelter's yard tonight." "On Halloween? Don't worry, you'll be back in time for the fireworks." "Percy isn't worried about missing the fireworks," teased Thomas. "He's a scaredy engine." "I'm not!" But he was, a little. At the smelters, all Percy could think of was Edward's ghost engine. Thomas knew indeed that Percy was scared, so he decided to tease him even more. "What's that up there?" Thomas said. "Is it a spook?" "It's just a piece of twisted scrap." "Isn't it?" Thomas was having fun. He kept on teasing Percy. "Careful, my boy. The ghost engine will probably get you if you hang around." "There's no such thing as ghosts." Duck felt sorry for Percy. "Nobody's brave all the time, but I'm not a scaredy engine." The job was almost done. "Well done," the yard manager said. "Now I just need one more engine to finish up." Duck wanted to pay Thomas back for all his teasing. "Please, sir, I'm sure Thomas wouldn't mind staying." "Oh, of course not. I'm not a scaredy engine." So Duck and Percy left. When Thomas was all by himself, every sound and every shadow was spooky. He began to feel very scared. "There's no such thing as ghosts." "Who's there?" Thomas was so busy looking for ghosts, he didn't watch where he was going. The chains that were just sitting behind him felt like eerie, sneaky finger beds. "Oh God! Oh, something got me! Oh God! Oh God! It's the ghost! Ah!" The ghost! The ghost is after me! The ghost is after me! It was naughty of Thomas to tease you, Percy, said Duck. Oh, he was only playing. I hope he hurries up. I wouldn't want him to be late for the fireworks. He's after me! Ah! I don't think he'll be late, said Duck. Duck and Percy joined the other engines for the fireworks. Where's Thomas? Percy asked. He'll miss all the fun. Oh, it would serve him right after all his teasing, Duck said. But Percy was worried. He went to go look for his friend, and he found Thomas all alone inside of the shed. Are you alright, Thomas? He said. Yeah. Sorry I teased you, Percy, Thomas said. Duck was right. We all feel scared sometimes. And we all have to say sorry sometimes as well. So, come on, Thomas. We can watch the fireworks just as well from here. And he was right. It truly was a very interesting Halloween after all. The Fat Controller's engines are proud of how useful they are. It makes them feel important, but none of them feels more important than Gordon. Watch out, Gordon wheezed. You'll get my paint all sooty. Pulling trucks is a sooty job, teased Salty, but then you wouldn't know. Of course not, Gordon huffed importantly. Express engines don't pull trucks. It wouldn't be dignified. Dignified? What's that? Dignified, Gordon corrected. It means someone's too big for his buffers. Ha 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 ha. Bullshit, said Gordon, and he puffed away. That evening, fog covered the island of Sodor. Everything slowed down, and soon the docks were packed with waiting trucks. This caused a great deal of trouble. The Fat Controller came to the sheds, and he was in a great hurry. Henry, Chumish, and Percy, he said, you must go to the docks immediately. Yes, sir, they whistled. And then the Fat Controller turned to the Big Blue Engine. You too, Gordon, he said. I need a big engine to take the trucks where they won't be in the way. Trucks? Huffed Gordon. He could not believe what he had heard. Gordon was pissed to be pulling trucks, and he waited impatiently while they were shunted into place. Hurry the hell up, chuffed Gordon crossly. Why the rush, Gordon? Asked Thomas. If I must pull trucks, then I'll show Salty how an express engine pulls trucks, Gordon huffed. Careful, Captain. You don't want to get too big for your buffers. But Gordon ignored Salty. And after the sun rose next morning, Gordon raced along with his heavy load. Now this is how you pull trucks, he puffed. But the signalman was, no surprise, sleeping on the job! And he left the point switched onto an old branch line, and Gordon rattled through the junction. Wait a minute! I'm on the branch line! Oh shit! Express trains aren't supposed to go that way! But it was too late. Gordon already raced into the distance. The line hadn't been used for God knows how long, so the tracks were weak and rusty. There was a sign warning everyone to go slow, but Gordon ignored them. I'm an express engine. I don't go slow, he said, and he went even faster. Unfortunately, the branch line couldn't take his weight and the rails buckled. Oh shit! Gordon cried as he slid off the tracks and into a field. No tires! Oh, no, not my tender! Oh shit! It should come as no surprise that Gordon felt very, undignified. What will the Fat Controller say? He groaned. He found out soon enough. Well, Gordon, you wanted to show Salty a thing or two, and you sure as hell done that. You showed him how stupid it is to ignore go slow signs. Sorry, sir, said Gordon, and he let out a sad wish of steam. Gordon was soon repaired, yet again, and back at the docks ready for work, but he was unhappy with himself. Everyone makes mistakes, said Thomas, even you. Oh, and Salty says he's sorry he teased you, puffed James. And I'm sorry I was too big for my buffers, chuffed Gordon. And all the engines gave a jolly toot, and even Gordon did so too. The Fat Controller's engines love being shiny and clean. It makes them feel special as they puff across the island of Sodor. Good morning. Hello. Percy often has the dirtiest work to do, but he likes to be clean as much as any other engine. So washdowns are very important to Percy, but one morning the Fat Controller had bad news. Due to a water shortage, he said, no engine shall have more than one washdown per day. Usefulness before cleanliness, he added, and left. Percy was indignified. I get dirty! I need washdowns! Gordon only does it to feel important! I am important, Gordon sniffed. I'm an express engine. You're a pouty puffer, Percy, teased James. Don't call me pouty puffer! Wheezed Percy, and he chuffed away. Percy was loading trucks at the coal mine, and as he was trying his hardest to stay clean, the trucks kept being assholes. Oh my God! I'm covered in coal. Percy felt awful, but he knew he had to carry on. On the way to the station, the trucks were trolling Percy even more. Clickety-clack! Don't hold back! Percy's on our track! Dirty Percy, indeed! When he arrived at the station, he was very upset. From now on, I'm only doing work where I don't get dirty. Harold the helicopter was at the station picking up medical supplies. Hello, he called, and he took off, blowing cinders and ashes everywhere. Not again! Usefulness before cleanliness, replied his driver. I want to be useful where I can't get dirty, he puffed. I heard there's a little sugar coming from chocolate factory, his driver said. We could take sugar trucks. Sugar, huh? Hey, it'd be pretty clean. Oh, okay. Percy was pleased. Percy was unaware that earlier a leaky truck had spilt oil on the track. When he approached the chocolate factory, Percy's driver made an attempt to apply the brakes. But the worst happened, as Percy's wheels just skidded on the rails. Oh no! Hooted Percy, but it was too late. Oh, I've never been this dirty! He was covered from funnel to firebox in shit. Stinky, brown shit. Back at the sheds, everyone thought it was hilarious. You look good enough to eat, Thomas hooted. Pudding, Percy! There's James. Chocolate ice on wheels. Disgraceful. Came a stern-sounding voice. It was the Fat Controller. Well, Percy, you've definitely had a trying day indeed. Yes, sir. But you have shown us. Usefulness does come before cleanliness. So, he added, you shall have your wash down. And a new coat of paint. Oh, sir! The engines on the island of Sodor love the summertime. And the Fat Controller arranges lots of concerts. Music can often be heard drifting through the air. The engines do enjoy it. One fine morning, the engines were very excited. Alicia Body, the famous singer, was coming to the island of Sodor's main regions. She's a coloratra, said Gordon importantly. What's a coloratra? Asked Thomas. It means she can sing high notes very, very loud. The Fat Controller would choose me to collect her, boasted James. I'm the brightest and the shiniest. Bullshit. I'm the most important, of Gordon. Thomas wanted to feel important too. He might choose me, he said hopefully. Well, I know one thing's for certain. He won't choose Dirty Percy. Don't call me Dirty Percy! He chuffed crossly, and he wheezed away. But the next day, the Fat Controller did not choose Gordon, nor James. He chose Thomas. No surprise. Make sure onion Corbro is squeaky clean, he said. Yes, sir, said Thomas proudly. He felt very important indeed. Move aside, Dirty Percy. I'm the more important engine today, but I need a wash down. My passengers will laugh at me. But I have to be squeaky clean, so you'll have to wait. I can't wait. I'm a guaranteed connection. And he chuffed away. Soon Thomas was shiny and squeaky clean. He felt more important than ever. But as the shunter coupled Annie and Clarbo, they heard a strange noise. What the hell was that? His driver quickly oiled Annie Clarbo's undercarriages. That should take care of the bothersome squeak. On the way to the docks, Thomas heard the squeak again. He was worried. It didn't sound like a clean squeak. Thomas squeaked noisily into the quayside where Alicia Body was waiting. The Fat Controller opened the coach door when... A mouse! Alicia Body began screaming. And it was so loud and so long, the windows broke everywhere within a 500-mile radius. Definitely a coloratra, said Gordon. I can't possibly travel in coaches with rodents. The Fat Controller was very embarrassed, and Thomas didn't feel important at all. Just then, Percy arrived from his guaranteed connection. Oh, look at the little green engine, Alicia Body exclaimed. So sweet and dirty, like a proper steam engine. Peasant. Yes, I am pleasant, smiled Percy. He was glad somebody noticed. Alicia Body hopped into Percy, and he steamed away. He felt very proud. Later, Thomas saw Percy at the washdown. I'm sorry I called you Dirty Percy, said Thomas. Why don't you go ahead and go first? Thanks, Thomas. It feels good to be friends. But, where's your mouse? You'll see. That night was Alicia Body's concert. Her voice carried across half of the area. The Fat Controller made the little mouse her very own home in the corner of the roundhouse. And what did Thomas nickname her? No surprise, it's Alicia.